Japan's legal landscape for VTubers and virtual personas. Japan's VTuber phenomenon has emerged at the intersection of technology, culture, and identity. As the global epicenter for VTubers and virtual personas, Japan hosts major players like Hololive, Nyasanji, and Kizuna A, whose operations involve complex intersections of entertainment and intellectual property law. With the rise of digital performers who blend fictional avatars with real human agency, Japanese legal systems are adapting to confront the challenges posed by copyright disputes, likeness rights, evolving agency contracts, and the ambiguous status of virtual identities. The foundation of legal protection for VTubers in Japan is copyright law. VTuber content includes original illustrations, 2D/3D models, audio recordings, and live streams, each of which may qualify as a work under Japan's Copyright Act. Ownership usually depends on contractual arrangements. Absent an explicit agreement, the original creator, such as an artist or performer, retains copyright. However, most agencies require written assignment of these rights to retain control over the character IP. For example, Cover Corporation, Hololive's parent, holds the copyrights to avatar models, animations, and videos created under its brand. Although voice performances are generally treated as neighboring rights rather than creative works under Japanese law, agencies routinely secure rights to record and distribute talent voices through exclusive licenses. Each livestream or video, treated as an audio-visual work, is typically copyrighted to the agency. While statutory protections are robust, disputes often arise when VTubers depart from agencies and attempt to retain control over their characters or content. In such cases, courts examine who materially contributed to the creative work and whether copyrights were legally assigned. The treatment of fan-created derivative works is particularly nuanced. Though fan content like doujinshi, memes, and tribute videos technically infringe upon the original copyright, Japanese VTuber agencies often tolerate non-commercial uses as a nod to otaku culture. Hololive and Nyasanji have both issued explicit fanwork guidelines permitting non-profit derivative creations that comply with decency standards and avoid confusion with official content. Despite this leniency, agencies remain vigilant against commercial misuses or defamatory alterations. A notable 2024 Tokyo court ruling compelled the disclosure of an anonymous user who had posted a collage defaming a Hololive talent, reaffirming that character depictions are protected against unauthorized adaptation and public transmission. Japan's legal landscape also navigates likeness rights and personality protections, especially amid increasing misuse of digital identities. While Japan lacks a formal right of publicity statute, courts have interpreted general tort law and constitutional privacy norms to protect VTuber performers. Unauthorized disclosure of a VTuber's real name or personal details can result in privacy violations, as confirmed in a 2020 Tokyo court case. Furthermore, performers have recourse against defamatory or harmful portrayals of their avatars if those portrayals are found to reflect on the real individuals behind them. Deepfakes that use of VTuber's voice or appearance without consent may fall under criminal defamation or unfair competition statutes, especially if used for commercial gain or to imply false endorsement. However, most legal tools currently used against such misuse are general provisions, and Japan has not yet passed a comprehensive law addressing AI-generated impersonations or likeness theft. Contracts between VTubers and agencies play a central role in delineating intellectual property and performance rights. Agencies usually own the avatars, names, and branding associated with each VTuber, often via copyright assignment and trademark registration. Talent agreements define not only IP ownership, but also usage rights, licensing terms, and behavioral expectations. Disputes over character ownership often arise upon contract termination, particularly when a departing VTuber seeks to continue using a persona they helped develop. Agencies typically restrict post-departure use of the character, sometimes prompting debates about whether talents should have a legal path to reclaim or license back their own avatars. Performance rights, while not grounded in copyright for voice recordings, are nevertheless enforced through contract clauses that allow agencies to distribute, monetize, and control content derived from the VTubers' performances. VTuber contracts also contain non-compete and exclusivity clauses. During the contract period, talents are generally prohibited from engaging in similar activities outside the agency's ecosystem. While these restrictions are standard and enforceable during active contracts, post-termination non-compete clauses are subject to stricter scrutiny. Under Japanese law, such clauses must be narrowly tailored and reasonable in scope, duration, and geography. Overly broad post-contract restraints may be invalidated for violating the constitutional right to occupational freedom unless accompanied by fair compensation. In practice, agencies like Hololive have not consistently enforced strict post-contract bans, and some former talents have resumed streaming under new personas or with other companies without legal repercussions. Worker classification adds further complexity. VTubers are usually classified as independent contractors rather than employees, placing them outside the scope of labor protections, such as minimum wage or social insurance under the Labor Standards Act. Agencies typically structure these engagements as mandate, or subcontractor agreements. However, regulators are beginning to scrutinize this practice. In late 2024, the Japan Fair Trade Commission admonished Cover Corporation for subcontract violations, and a new Freelance Act introduced requirements for transparent contracts and prompt payment for freelancers. This signals a growing emphasis on the fair treatment of VTuber talent, even when they are not classified as employees. Japanese courts have also begun to recognize jurisprudence around digital identity, particularly in defamation and privacy claims involving virtual personas. When insults or invasions of privacy target an avatar closely linked to a real person, courts have ruled that the real individual suffers harm. A 2021 Tokyo District Court found that defamatory statements against a VTuber's avatar constituted a personal attack on the human performer, since the avatar reflected the performer's voice, movements, and lived experience. Similarly, courts have enforced privacy rights where personal information about VTuber performers was disclosed against their wishes. These precedents suggest that while avatars do not have separate legal personhood, courts recognize their close link to the humans they represent and apply conventional rights accordingly. No Japanese statute yet grants legal personhood to avatars or virtual identities. However, government bodies like the Cabinet Office have begun to study the implications of metaverse content and digital representation. Academic commentators have proposed frameworks for classifying VTubers into person type and character type categories to better determine when a virtual insult or legal harm affects the individual. Proposals to treat digital personas as brands or corporate assets have gained traction, but implementation remains limited to private rights frameworks like trademark and contract law. Meanwhile, regulatory bodies have started applying advertising laws to virtual influencers, requiring clear labeling of endorsements to prevent consumer deception. In conclusion, Japan's legal system is gradually adapting to the realities of VTuber culture. While traditional copyright, tort, and contract law form the backbone of protection for digital personas, emerging concerns around AI, deepfakes, and digital identity require ongoing legislative and judicial attention. VTuber agencies wield significant control through contracts, yet growing legal scrutiny highlights the need for more balanced agency-talent relationships. Courts have shown a willingness to protect the human identity behind virtual avatars, even without recognizing avatars as legal persons. As VTuber platforms expand and globalize, Japan's evolving legal frameworks may serve as a model for harmonizing digital rights with creative expression in the virtual age.